Hi, Ruth.
Hi, Michael.
Who are you?
Fuck you.
No. I want to be the person to ask you. Who are you?
Oh, shit. All right, hold on. Let me bust this out first.
Okay, all right.
Woo! Guys, I'm not ready. This came out of nowhere.
Just like the last episode, what did Isabel say? She said the most outlandish. Shout out to Isabel. The most outlandish shit I've ever heard, which was that everyone's ready to be a parent. Absolutely not.
That's
absolutely
the bone
not.
You have to pick right now.
I totally respect you as a mom. But I definitely am not ready.
Hear me out, though.
Yes.
I understand where she's coming from because it's that whole thing of like, well, our parents weren't ready to be parents, and then they did. I'm not going to say just fine, but enough.
No one's ready. That's it.
Period.
No one's ready.
Okay.
No one's ready. And I feel like I'm at a point in life. Thank you so much. I'm definitely at a point where I'm definitely not ready. But okay. Also, before we get into all that, do you want to know why? Would you like to know why I chose Crown Royal and Coke?
Tell the people.
Okay. Well, I mean...
Yes, I do want to know why.
I do care about you as the people, but for you, most importantly, is that one of my favorite, as of recently, interviews is I feel like I'm on Hot Ones with alcohol. You know? But one of my favorite ones is when Dave Grohl goes on to Hot Ones. I don't know if you've seen that one. Mm-hmm. And he makes a drink that we're drinking right now called a Pantera, in which it is Crown...
And Coke.
And Coke.
And that's it. It's called Pantera.
It's called Pantera. I'm not a big fan of the band itself, but I'm a fan of that episode.
I'm a huge fan of Dave Grohl.
I'm a huge fan.
The person itself.
You know, even with Foo Fighters, I'm leading into it. I'm starting to get there.
Can I see him?
Absolutely, I can. Look at the... Oh. Don't mess up the sound. Okay. Better make this ASMR.
Oh, fuck. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Blanco. Cheers.
Cheers.
Fuck. I don't even know where to start. Well, let me sip. That's where to start.
There's nowhere to start because my question for you was, who are you?
Jesus Christ. All right.
That's a Pantera.
That's a Pantera. Was it a splash of Coke? A Pantera?
No, I feel like I gave you a good amount. We have I feel like the same amount, but
you also have a bigger mug. No, I'm just being a bitch. I'm just being a bitch.
No, you're not. We have, ladies and gentlemen, 2 hours. So might as well give yourself a little bit of breathing room.
Is it true? True. And here I am judging this little tiny bottle from the moment we bought it. But no, I see it, and it's going to cause some problems.
You taste it.
I see it. It's only two of us.
Okay. It's okay. So who
are you? What was
the
question? I forgot. Who am I?
Who are you?
I am Ruth. I am a girl. I am let's see how I define myself. I am a Latina from the Valley with ADHD. That's who.
Diagnosed or undiagnosed?
Who I am. Diagnosed. But that's so fucking... Doesn't really matter, diagnosed and undiagnosed. You know,
I think it absolutely matters.
I mean, the only thing that matters is that you have a fucking person with a degree telling you, yes,
sure,
you do, agreeing with you.
Okay,
you know,
I mean, true, but I mean, at the same time, for going that long into education and for someone to spend as much time as they do, spending the money to go to school, also having the maybe based on their trials and tribulations, the courage to go to school, despite maybe family things and whatnot. I mean, there's so many different variables that go into getting an education. And the fact that as much as it might sound silly for someone to hand you a piece of paper saying, now you can clinically tell somebody if they are this or that, I think there's a lot that goes into that. And I appreciate that.
So you're saying don't devalue the psychiatrists that are like telling me... I'm listening.
No. No. It's one of those things where you're not going to, like anyone else in life, right? You're not going to get along with everyone that you meet, and let alone someone with a piece of paper saying that you can clinically and legally tell someone they're this or that. You might not get along with them, but you also do have to, like life, it's trial and error. You got to figure it out. You got to find that person that you're like, okay, not only did you tell me I have ADHD, but you also taught me the steps, the best way to overcome that. You know what I mean? So I feel like it comes with the experience of you're not just going to talk to one psychiatrist or therapist. You're going to talk to multiple, and you're going to find who understands what you're going through the best way that they know. You know, maybe just through them with patients or their own personal experiences, one or the other. You know, it's gonna click at some point.
If anything, I definitely respect my therapist. Well, she gives me more, my therapist, as opposed to my psychiatrist. She just kind of does a little check-in on me like a fucking car. Every once in a while, she's like, all right, can you sleep? How's your appetite?
And I'm sorry, you said your therapist versus your psychiatrist or other way?
I respect my therapist's opinion more than my psychiatrist.
Well,
or I guess I see more value in my therapist because she does give me more and she's more into listening into like how it affects my life as to where my psychiatrist is just there to kind of give me my meds.
That is kind of the purpose of it. I would definitely say, I mean, for any of you out there, if you're definitely trying to find something or if you're open to having some form of medication to help you out, then a psychiatrist is going to help with that. But if you're trying to definitely do more so like a natural way, and I'm sorry, I don't, PSA for this whole podcast, anything that I say is an opinion. And if you agree with it, it's not that I'm right, it's that you agree with it. And if you don't agree with it, it's not that I'm wrong, but you disagree with it. It's just my opinion. That's all. Anything. This is a whole 2 hours with Crown and Coke. There's a lot that can be said.
A lot's gonna be said.
So please bear with me on that, okay? Please. Anyone that doesn't know me or that does know me, you know, I'm flawed. I'm a human being. All that stuff. But in terms of all that, I definitely do think that if you want to get medication for yourself to help with your everyday endeavors, then a psychiatrist would definitely help. If that's not the case, then I would definitely say go for a therapist because they're going to check on you like every week. It's going to be a big thing. They're going to give you homework. They're going to give you things to do to better yourself, and it's up to you. I mean, it's very similar. I feel like in I don't know, maybe like we all know someone that's addicted to something, and I would imagine, and statistically, I would imagine that anyone that says they've gotten clean or if they have broken off from that addiction, it's because they genuinely in their heart wanted to. Yeah. And that's where it's got to come from. It's got to come from you first. But if that is coming from you, the best person to help you do that, if you want to do naturally, is therapist. If you want to do it medicated, psychiatrist. So maybe in this case for yourself, if you're not doing medicated, then maybe a psychiatrist for you is just like, dude, like, you know what I mean? Nothing's getting done. But the therapist is more so helping you in this case.
Yeah. No, I got both. It started with therapy and then it not slowly, but I was patient. I wasn't trying to push it and be like, no, I know I need fucking some substance or whatever to fucking get me better. But I genuinely wanted to try all of these different routes and it was a long time. It's been a year, I think, if not more. Right. I think more than a year. But yeah, no. Then once the therapist saw, oh yeah, this is pretty bad, then she gave me the referral to the psychiatrist, just to kind of be that additional tool to getting better.
Got you. Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. But also that leads back to my question, which I can't even remember myself. Who are you? How did this even get there from me asking you?
We got there because I see that as definitely being one of the things of who I am.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people say, oh, I'm more than my disabilities or whatever, but that is
Do people really say that?
Well, like people who have worse disabilities like schizophrenia or something like that. Like I'm more than that.
Sure.
I'm not just that.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like I definitely, that is a part of me. That is how my brain works. It's completely intertwined with my personality and with how I work and how I motivate myself and just go about everyday life. Like it's because of this fucking thing.
Absolutely.
And so that's how I define myself when I say, who am I? I'm Ruth. I'm 28. I'm also Hispanic Latina. That's a huge part of my existence. My only existence. Hello, I'm brown. And
the lighting isn't helping.
and I have ADHD and like everything else underneath that follows from that. It's because of these 3 pillars that I see.
Gotcha.
Who are you?
I am Michael. I am a human being on the planet Earth. That's who I am.
Period. Facts, but like just end, period.
I'm a human being. I'm a human being on the planet Earth. Nothing more, nothing less.
Okay. All right. How old are you?
I'm 28.
Hmm.
So funny thing, or why I laugh about that, is because we literally, when we were picking up the alcohol and everything,
Yeah.
I was yelling at you from across that I went to a 7-Eleven once, and the guy was like, "How old are you?" You know, actually, I'm sorry. Don't mean to make fun of any culture or anything like that, but obviously for people at 7-Eleven, they do tend to have an accent from arguably the Middle East. And so he asked me, "How old are you?" And I was like, here, dude, I don't know. I was just giving my ID, and I was like, "This is."
I can't ask me to do
I can't
math.
even remember. I can't even remember what I ate last night, let alone how old I am.
Dude,
so here you go.
When I walked in, he asked me, "How old are you?" And I was like, 21. Just right off the bat, out of sheer panic. Even though I'm fucking, I'm like, "Oh no."
Yeah,
I remember that. I'm 28.
I feel like the key words in there was
21.
"I remember that."
Yeah, dude. It took me to a flashback. I couldn't even give him the right answer. I was like, 21. Anyway.
Right.
Fuck. I don't know. What's your next question?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
What my next question is?
Yeah. It came in strong.
What are you passionate about?
People, behaviors, human behavior specifically.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that.
Period.
Okay,
all right.
Just like, I'm gonna leave it at that, because yeah. It's really just that human behavior. That is what interests me, and what I am is what I wake up wanting to understand every day. That's the best way I can describe being passionate about it.
What's been interesting you the most about human behavior as of recently, if anything?
How every small thing matters. The smallest thing takes a huge effect.
Can you give me an example of that? Or your audience, an example of that?
Audience. Well, I talk about it a lot. It's like my childhood, from growing up with my dad, or in those little moments where it's like, if I did something wrong,
excuse me,
and say I wasn't reassured.
Okay.
Instead, I was ignored.
Okay.
Something like that can eventually turn into me making a mistake and trying to hide it, instead of being like, "Oh, okay, I did something wrong. Let's see how I can do better," or like own up to it and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I don't know why I brought that up first, but that's one thing. Another thing is, if somebody asks you to hang out for one thing, but you're not feeling it, you just don't want to, whatever, and then you say no. You don't know that one little moment of just saying yes could turn into, could be this person's moment to be like, okay, it is safe to ask for help. It is safe to reach out, because I will get something positive out of it. And that is kind of like thinking on the responsibilities of other people and then putting it on you, and that's not good either. But like little shit like that, I
love that, only because small story time, but if hopefully this kind of correlates to what you're saying, but for instance, I have one of my best friends. I was living in Lawndale. I had a couple of roommates hit me up. He was like, I was literally getting ready. I was like going to go hang out with somebody, basically. I had planned this for like weeks, essentially. I remember it so clearly in my head. I had planned, and I get a call. I'm getting ready, and I'm like, "Hey, man, what's up?" And he's like, "Hey, Lucky's in town." And Lucky is I've never been to a university. I'm so close. I'm so close to transferring to a university, but but other than this, basically, of transferring, I'd never really been to a university other than this friend, and he went to Cal State Northridge, and I went to a party, and it was one of those things where Mr. Lucky, shout out to Mr. Lucky, he was this very short, lean, just massive, like a dense star of a man. He was ripped. Like, he was, because I remember that same night we had to carry him out of the bathroom, and he was like a dying sun. Like, he was just so heavy for being small. It was ridiculous. But it's one of those college party stories where we just became best friends off the bat. Just one of those like crazy, like we just got along. We were, drinking on the same level. We were talking and clicking emotionally on the same level. And it's one of those things where just even after one night, we became best friends. And my other best friend hits me up where I would go to all those college parties with. And I was like, hey, Lucky's in town because he lives in Fresno, whatever, super far. He's in town. So you got to show up. And I was like, dude, I've been planning on this, on meeting this person forever, or what felt like forever. And he was just, dude, you got to show up. And in my heart of hearts, I'm like, I got to show up. and sure enough, I went. Well, funny enough, we had Crown. Well, college students are very resourceful because they had water bottles. They cut somehow. I don't even know how, but they cut like the bottom portion of it to make little shots. And so we were hanging out below the pier, nice. Underneath the pier in, where was it? I want to say like in Santa Monica, basically.
Okay.
Hanging out underneath the pier. They cut these little water bottles, had these little shot things, and poured some Crown in there. It was like, hey, man, it's been forever since I've seen you. Here you go. And immediately. And it sounds weird to say, but what's it called? I went back home crying that day because my friend at the time was going through a lot of stuff. And I was like, wow, this guy Lucky was it sounds funny, but it's like it's one of those jokes, like it's in his name, but like he was lucky to have him as a friend. Mm-hmm. Like I wasn't like, this dude is my best friend, but Lucky was there for this guy as his friend. And I'm so glad. Like I was like literally crying like of joy of like how grateful I was that this guy was there for him, to be there for him in these hard times, being in college, being alone. You know what I mean? Like, shout out to everyone that goes to college because that's hard. I mean,
a fucking round of applause for you.
Round of applause.
Not everybody gets there or stays there. So
exactly. And if you find yourself, and even if you don't finish, that's good. At least you found yourself. That's great. In this case, it's one of those things where, even though maybe I'm not going to put anyone's business out there, but if one person or another doesn't finish college, but maybe the other does, but what matters is like the friendships that they made along the way and the human connections that they made along the way. And that, it's, I'm really trying to get rid of all that machismo kind of complex. I know you brought it up on the podcast before. I'm really trying to get rid of all that machismo complex and let myself cry, let myself feel emotion, let myself do all those things, because like discovering those things, or like just being, it sounds funny. I have this weird love-hate relationship with alcohol, but it made me realize, doing that, how much of an impact this dude had on my best friend's life. And that was beautiful to me. I'm like, wow, like, I'm so glad you were there for him when I couldn't be. I'm not in college with him or anything, my best friend. I'm so glad that you were, Yeah. So it's like things like that. Again, I don't mean to make a huge story out of this, but it's just, especially what you were talking about before, it just really reminded me of that. I don't know, just this weird need for connection and to find purpose and to be comforted in times of hardship and all this kind of stuff. I don't know. I like to fuck around, but it's like it's either I'm fucking around or I'm serious. And this type of stuff, I'm very serious because I'm like, dude, we all need like the song says, we all need someone to lean on, at the end of the day. So that's very important.
Yeah, we do. Just like picturing that whole thing makes me emotional. It almost like makes me want to cry because it's like, I get that it's like you care for this person and you can't be there for them, but just knowing that they were cared for, they were taken care of. Like,
love that.
Your baby is being taken care of and they're fine and you don't have to worry about that.
Love that.
It's like, and it's beautiful and it's great. And I feel I worry about a lot of people all the fucking time. Mm-hmm. I'm trying not to because I'm just trying to worry about myself. It's too much to worry about others.
That's fair. That's very fair.
Anxiety. Hello. But what? Okay. You said a lot of things, and I can't pick on which one I want to focus on.
The one thing I do want to say is, out of all the podcasts I've seen, from yours, I love your second episode.
Shut up! I hate that fucking episode.
I love your second episode.
Why do you like it?
It's just a train wreck, and I love that. I absolutely.
Bro.
Like the moment, like from the start to the finish, I'm just watching she is letting it out there.
It was so
and
bad.
I love that.
So bad. Let me tell you why it was bad. Okay. Fuck, what happened? Okay, so the week I did the first episode and I was like, shit, all right, well, I'm doing it. Can't back out
Compared to the first episode, not even close. Not even close. I loved it.
The train wreck? Why do you want to watch a train wreck?
Other than the obvious, literally what you're mumbling, if I'm putting it into words, is because when you're driving on the freeway and you see a train wreck, I mean, you're gonna watch it. You're gonna
see it.
Exactly. But at the same time, it's like I can resonate to that, and that takes. I promise, I'm not trying to kiss anyone's ass here, but like that takes tremendous courage. To put that out there for people to see, for people to experience and be emotional with you, that's crazy. I mean, no wonder. That's why if I say you have an audience, it's because you do. And I'm sure it's because of moments like that, you do have an audience. Because it's one of those things that I feel like people don't let themselves feel their emotions, Yeah. People don't let themselves feel honest with themselves. Or, even therapists know they can't even trust their clients to be honest with them. So it's like the fact that you are on this podcast, on this thing that you're just doing on a whim. That's crazy. That's awesome. I say that, like, I truly do say that in a beautiful way. That is so beautiful. And I love that for you.
Thank you.
And anyone that's watching that resonates with that, that's beautiful. If you're crying with Ruth, then you're doing the right thing,
Thank you.
Honestly, needs no thanks, but you're absolutely welcome all the time.
That second episode really taught me a lot about the way that I work too, because in that second episode I was really trying to fucking like have more structure. But nonetheless, I was still unprepared when I went into it because the fucking week passed and then I had to get another episode out quick or else this meant nothing. So I felt like a lot of pressure to do it. And so then me trying to have a structure, but knowing the way my brain works, which it goes in so many fucking different directions. And because I restricted myself and I didn't allow my brain to go in all these different directions, it started shutting down. And I stopped even trying to I didn't have the motivation or effort to follow a thought through, which is why in those moments you see me trying to remember things and I'm like, oh, fuck it doesn't matter. Didn't have the patience. Couldn't do it. And so the only thing that I could do in that episode was just talk about something that was honest with me, which I think I talked about my dad or something about the fuck was it?
You talked about a lot of things.
I talked about good things. I just wish it was delivered better. But nonetheless, that I went back to the core of this whole idea of this podcast, which was just speaking out whatever I'm feeling on the inside. And then hopefully someone out there was gonna just relate to me and listen. That's why I wanted to do this. I don't advertise it enough because I just want to talk out there and I want people to feel like they can do the same thing. Because you're right, people don't feel their feelings. And I see that with just my small little community around me. So I can't even imagine the rest of the fucking world and what they're doing and how they're doing. Because they're all just out there surviving. It's a hard fucking time right now. It was a hard time years ago and we're all still just trying to fucking survive.
I'll drink to that.
I just need to breathe on that one. Drink. Yeah, you're fucking, how are you done already?
I'm not done, but I'm just getting started, as they say.
I'm so happy that you came on. I was really, really excited because I also needed this. I don't know if you can tell in my voice, but I'm like the brink of crying.
Okay, so being honest, that's one of the things that I love about that second episode is that it always felt like you were on like the brink of crying. And again, I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm saying that as like, I'm like watching like, oh my God, like I love this bitch. Like, oh my God. I truly do.
Oh God. Fuck. And I always say every time that I'm going to bring like tissues and shit.
and you never do.
I'm over here fucking like, I'm over here cleaning my my shit off on my shirt like a fucking slob.
Hey, we're Hispanic. we make do with what we got. We make do with what we got.
If there's anything that I appreciate from being fucking poor is not giving a fuck. Give a fuck about a lot of things. I know it comes with a lot of different layers. But oh my god,
tissues!
I'm gonna cry.
Tissues!
I'm really gonna fucking cry.
Okay.
God, Andrew, I love you, and this is why you just came in and brought me a tissue. You're the fucking best.
Andrew, if you record my band, I will force myself to cry.
I'll force myself to cry. It's just, and you know what? That's what makes me cry the most is when I have support.
Yeah.
Is when I see the support that I have from like all these people.
Yeah.
Being a child, I felt really alone. And then I know I have like these daddy issues, but I am never short of like father figures in my life. I have so many people.
Right.
And it just makes me so emotional to know that I have the love that I so deeply like need.
Yeah.
Crave, you know?
Absolutely.
It's hard to be grateful sometimes.
It is. And that's I think I had mentioned it when we were at the bar before we came here, but I am a practicing Buddhist. Key word is practicing. I don't know if you know a lot about Buddhism. I don't know anything about anything about it. I'm not trying to convert you, which is awesome because that's another thing I love about Buddhism is that no one's trying to convert you or anything. No offense to any of the other guests that have been on here that have, like Steve, what was it that he said? That he was like, are you ready to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? I love you, Steve. I would love to be on the podcast with you. But it's just a matter of, funny enough, I got introduced to The Simpsons, and there's an episode of The Simpsons where Lisa gets introduced to Buddhism, and she's just like, oh my God, this is everything that I've been looking for. And of course, like Marge and Homer and everyone, like, of course, like Christianity, like in that show, it's such a well-written show that they would, of course, like kind of poke fun at Christianity and all that kind of stuff. There's nothing I'm poking fun at, but they're doing it for me. But there's just something about that episode that really got me into it. And I had taken an Asian philosophy class, and a big part of that is Buddhism. And it's just for anyone out there that's interested in it, that's heard of it, or even for yourself that doesn't know anything about it, the best example I can give you of how a Buddhist thinks or how they go about life is that you're in LA traffic, which LA traffic is the fucking worst, you know? Exactly, right? So someone cuts you off, and they have like a baby on board sticker. They have everything, like every sign possible being like, I should not have done that to you.
Coexist.
Or to my family. I should not have risked our lives doing that.
Uh-huh.
Normal person would be like, fuck you, what the fuck? You know, all this stuff. I feel like I just spit everywhere. Hopefully they got that in HD. But a normal person would react that way, okay. Spit flying everywhere, everything. Mm-hmm. And a Buddhist would very much be like, that's something that happened. That's it. Point blank, period. That's something that happened. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just something that happened, and there's no control over that. And a big thing into Buddhism is suffering, is that everyone suffers, and that the way that you channel that is important. Now, depending on the type of Buddhism that you get into, you can channel it into different ways. But for the most part, it's a matter of how you channel that negative energy, because everyone's going to suffer at some point, or always, or forever, or never. It doesn't matter. But at some point, it's going to happen. Actually, I said never, so that kind of contradicts that. But either way, you get what I mean, you know? It's just at some point, it's inevitable that people are going to suffer. And when people suffer, they tend to throw stories on top of that to make it not as sufferable. I don't know the word for it, but
like easier to digest.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like when or not you, but like everyone is saying like, fuck that person for cutting me off or jeopardizing their family or whatever, you're creating a story to not make your suffering as bad. Versus Buddhism is very much like, you suffered and that's it. Now what are you going to do? And that's where that kind of comes into play. And that's where the key word that I say for myself is practicing Buddhist, because it's hard. That is really, really fucking hard to do. Mm-hmm. To have someone cut you off, I work right now technically in real estate to have like do a tour for someone of a property, and they're still going to criticize and criticize and criticize. And then for me to still just be like, they're just human. They're suffering and they're just having some kind of outlet for that. And it's not that it's okay or bad, but it's something that's happening to me in front of me, and that's it.
It just is.
It just is.
Yeah.
You should be a Buddhist.
God, no, literally, when you told me that the last time, I have not forgotten it since. I still think about it every day. And it's always when I'm on the motherfucking freeway. Being like, this, it just is. He cut me off. I'm still talking shit in my car. Just to let it out.
Absolutely.
But I would never honk at anyone.
Isn't it crazy? The shit that we do on the freeway?
I just need to let it out.
The shit that we say on the freeway is crazy.
It's fucking crazy.
You motherfucker, fuck you. I wish you would burn in fucking hell. Like, that's someone's son or daughter. You know what I mean? Like, that's a person. And I just wished, like, they would burn in hell for eternity. Because
they cut me off.
Because they cut me off because they're late for work because of something that happened with their kid. Or, like, what, you know, again, right? Like, there's so many variables that can happen that leads to that one same thing that you were saying before, right? And I'm glad now, even more so than ever, that I asked you who you are. But the fact that you care about those little things in life, that's part of that. It's a part of understanding that. And at the end of the day, even when that person cuts me off, that's hard to think that a lot of people probably won't. And I would implore for any of your audience or anyone out there to think about is that I'm glad that you cut me off and you weren't hit and you are healthy, you are safe, you are there to see your family another day. I'm glad I had the awareness to see you do that and to respond to that. That's hard.
That's hard. I'm not there yet.
That's and that's okay.
You
rude bitch.
I don't fucking wish him well at all.
You
but
rude motherfucker.
I can accept that he's an asshole.
Acceptance comes in many funny ways.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
No, man, it's hard. You know what?
It is hard.
Another thing that reminded me of that. Yeah. I watched Chef's Table on Netflix, and there's this episode.
Chef's Table. What is that? You got to educate me on that.
So they interview these like very high end chefs.
Okay.
Chef's Table. They're all over the world.
Like Gordon Ramsay type shit. I mean,
bigger, better.
Okay.
Bigger and better.
I didn't know there was
that.
bigger and better than Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, these are people who have like either what is it? There was one episode where they followed the chef for monks.
Okay.
And then there's other episodes where like people in Brazil who like came out of the slums and then they like were started off cleaning fish or something, and then they slowly got into the passion of like really learning and the what is it? What's the when you're strict about something? Oh, I feel like you would know. Because you're strict about that discipline. You would know. I don't know discipline.
I'm a veteran, so I don't know if that's what she's implying, but I'll drink to that.
Anyway, they created this discipline in order to creating the most like elegant and pure dishes. And then there was this chef who cooks for monks, who is a monk herself. And I remember her being so not distraught, but like shocked that their key ingredients, they had to ban certain ingredients because they were too pungent. And so it would kind of disrupt their meditative state, right? Because everything is supposed to be calm and mellow and like just chill. And so they wouldn't use onion, garlic, all the things that we fucking love, and like some other shit I don't remember fully, but they avoided it because they were too. It's almost like they were too obnoxious of flavors. They were too loud. It wasn't just letting the ingredients be what they are, and she was like, you can learn a lot from just having an ingredient and adding time, which is like kimchi, right? And they just like let that sit underground in its own environment and whatever it produces as it decays, and then it's like creating this whole new ingredient, and then like that itself, and like, but yet kimchi was acceptable. And then they had this tea, this lotus tea, which almost tasted like nothing, but the way that it was like prepared, it's like you have this lotus that's either like sitting in this water, and then you like sit it in some warmer water, and she's like slowly taking it apart with like chopsticks, just like one leaf at a time, and just letting it sit there, and then just like stirring it around, and then you pour this cup, and it's just water, but you still taste that little bit of lotus. And it's like, that really tripped me out, because it's not only just this like way of like changing your thought process to be in this meditative state, but everything goes into it. Everything that you feed yourself, that you listen to, which is why it made me understand my cousin who was religious. And when he said, I can't listen to heavy metal music because it makes me feel a certain type of way. And that...
Mr. Jose.
No, Mr. David.
Oh, Mr. David. Sorry, David. Sorry, David.
David. And then I instantly switched to like judgment and went, oh, what do you mean you can't listen to music and you can't be free? And it's like, no, he wants to reach this certain state of being where this music doesn't allow him to get that. And then I immediately thought of that Netflix episode where it was like, they won't even eat this food because it's going to stray them from the path of where they want to be, the state of being where they want to be, which is complete peace.
For some people, listening to heavy metal music will bring them peace.
Mm-hmm. I'm one of them.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I swallowed a little.
I feel like Mr. David would be like, yeah, you need to stop listening to that. Right?
I mean, shit, a lot of things do not go with their way of being. But
you know, it just reminds me of, because it's very funny. Same thing. I watched that episode, and not that I got judgmental, but I definitely do agree with you where it's like when something limits myself, I immediately turn off to it. Immediately. Like if you tell me I can't listen to heavy metal music, then it's just like, why? You know, like, and then I'll question it, and then I'll keep doing it until I love it, and then it's over. You know, like then it's like whatever happens is over. But there's something about that. I mean, even with rappers, like, you know, if this ever blows up, shout out to the family of Mac Miller and stuff like that. But it's just things like that. You know, when people pass away, I wasn't big into him. But then once it's one of the, I mean, I have Sublime tatted on my arm. I mean, if anyone can't see, I have it tatted on my arm. I'm sure the audio got bad, but it's one of my favorite bands of all time. I mean, even the singer died of an overdose. But it's sometimes with so much passion and just making wrong choices, things happen, but also at the same time, if it wasn't for that, maybe I wouldn't even know who they are. Maybe I wouldn't love music as much as I do. There's certain things like just that kind of thing with the, how would you say it? I guess destiny, you know, that things are kind of destined to happen. I don't really see it in a religious sense, but kind of similar to what you said, I believe it in a universal sense, where the universe just deemed it be. And that's it. I have no control over that. I just control the fact that I made it here on time, or as best on time as I can. And that, you know, I care about you and your well-being, and the fact that this is something that's important to you, and I'm here, you know. And for me with music, which is also important to me, is just one of those things where it's so funny. When I first listened to Sublime, I was like totally in love. And then I remember asking my mom, being like, I want to see them. Like, I want to see them live. And then my mom having to be like, you can't. And just, why? As a kid, why? Why can't I?
What do you mean?
Because the singer is no longer here. Well, what does that mean? It means that, and like, what do you do as a mom? Shout out to Isabel. I'm sure she would have a whole opinion on that, but las comadres. But, you know, for her, it was just, you know, he did some dumb things that, you know, in which you can't do that anymore. He's not here to do that. And then I swear for years, I like resented that. Like I resented, I'm sorry to the family, but being honest with myself, and being honest with this audience, is that Bradley Noel was a huge influence on me. And knowing that he did that and all this stuff, and he had a son and all this, like it changed my thinking, my thinking process of like, how could someone do that? How could someone, blah, blah, blah. And then I get older and I have my own, I have my own flaws. And, as a human being, you kind of learn what those flaws are, what you're willing to be selfish about and sacrifice other people's well-beings for your own selfishness. And I'm like, after years, it's just, okay. He made those decisions. I'm making my decisions. And that's all I know. There's nothing I can control. It's just what I know.
Do you think that was like your first experience with just accepting that things are what they are?
Maybe in terms of death and selfishness, yes. I would definitely say so. Selfishness can go in different ways. I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but in terms of family, maybe in terms of, again, machismo complex and stuff like that, I feel like that all that comes from a place of selfishness as well. But it's weird because they live long enough to kind of have that channel that through other generations and their children or their nephews or whatever. But in terms of Bradley Noel, it was just a matter of, I'm just no longer here. I'm no longer here to give music to people that cared about my music, and I'm no longer here for my immediate family. And I don't want to speak on behalf of the Noel family, but it is true. I mean, just being a young, rambunctious kid, and for the audience that doesn't know, I'm a musician, so music is like a big part of my being, and just knowing that it's one of those things as being a kid, being very emotional, not knowing how life works. It was just my initial reaction to react and be like, how could you do this when you had so much to give? How could you do that to yourself, to your family, when you're such a great songwriter, when you're such a great composer, when you're such a great this or that, And that just really shaped my way of feeling and thinking about other people until I started making mistakes and things on my own where I'm like, okay, I get why even if life is at stake, people will do the things that they do. Because arguably, people are selfish and they're going to do the things that they want to do until maybe love comes involved and that they have to, I feel like a big popular word, settle for the next best thing or for that person that they care about or what have you.
Do you feel like selfish is a bad thing? Being selfish is a bad thing?
If it becomes, from experience, if it comes from a place of abundance and excessiveness, then yes.
Greed. Is that what you mean? Greed.
Essentially, I think so. I think. Keyword is I think. But again, it's just, I don't know if I would have to probably look up the term, but I don't want to look at my phone for the sake of we're having this conversation.
We're knee deep in this shit.
Right. But if greed, if part of that in the dictionary is a matter of like over selfishness, of overindulgence and stuff like that, then I would probably say yes. Yeah. Because I have my
positive annotation to selfishness?
I would think so. Speaking, being totally honest with myself and the viewers, but I would definitely say, like, for me, like a level of selfishness, for example, is possibly women. I don't know what it is. I was literally just telling someone how when I was young, I loved the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Okay.
And my mom, apparently, from based on her stories, is that she would see me anytime Jessica Rabbit would come on. I would like, as a kid, like, like pointing at the screen, and she was like, "Oh, he likes women." You know what I mean? Like he likes women. He knows like that. That's
we're good.
Yeah,
he's fine.
No, me wrong. My mom. I mean, whether I was gay or anything else, I mean, she would have loved that for me, But she just knew, like, okay, this is what he likes, And it's just something that, something like that. But it just and growing and learning about myself and all this stuff. It's just maybe that's just one of those things where I might take in excess, is that I'm infatuated for to put something, I guess, cool into lamer terms, what arguably one might say is that I am infatuated with the opposite sex, and there's something about me that wants to experience that, to do all that. I mean, shout out to Laura Marling, one of my favorite singer-songwriters. I mean, she has an album called Song for Our Daughter. And I always say it's the album that I listen to at the end I cry, because it's the closest I'll ever feel to being a woman. I don't want to put myself on a pedestal or anything like that, but it's just like I am. Like, I'm infatuated with the opposite sex. I'm infatuated to know who they are, if they're attractive to me, in which for men, I feel like intent is a big thing. And for me, my intent is that you are attractive. And like, for me, the logical, emotional part of my man brain or male brain is that if you think so about me and I think so about you, then why not? And if not, then that's okay. And that's totally cool. Then I'm okay with that, as long as you let me know. And I'm like, all right, and the no feelings are misconstrued. But yeah, I feel like I'm going on tangents here, but it's just the fact that when it comes to man and woman, it's just, in my humble opinion, that is absolutely not right, but you might agree with, is that women have judgment and men have intent. And
elaborate.
It's men's intent to be like, I want every part of you. Like, for instance, right? Okay, to put it into today's society, men, or actually no, I'll start with women. Women, if you put the right lighting, the right everything, whatever your best quote unquote asset is, if you put a selfie of that or something, you're going to gravitate attention. For men, if you do the same thing, it's not going to gravitate the same amount of attention. Not even by a long shot, not even close. Now, because of that, men tend to crave attention. But the greatest form of attention is a woman giving everything she has to give to him, which is essentially, let's say, sex. Now, that's the biggest thing, because I had someone recently ask me of like, why can't men be my friend? Why can't men be my friend? And I was like, it's because, like, for me to you, right? I think you're attractive, whatever, or if that's the case, but give me 2 weeks to be your friend. Why? Why is that? Because I need that time to understand that as a man, my intent is that you are attractive and that I want to do this intimate thing with you. And the fact that I can't, I have lost as a man. And that because of that, or at least in my case, give me time to accept that you are going to give all of you to someone else, and cool, I'll be your friend. But until then, for those 2 weeks, just give me time to process that, to literally, to the highest extent, imagine you with someone else, being intimate with them, having sex with them, whatever. And once I can process that and be okay with that, then I can be your friend. For me, at least, again, this is just my humble opinion. It doesn't matter. You can agree with it or disagree with it. And I would love to hear people that disagree with it. I would love to hear it of why that is not the case. But if I had to put down of why that it's so hard for women, at least, to make friends with men, it's because of that. Because there is a bit of an ego hit, for sure. And even me as a man, as someone with, my own needs and my own flaws and all that kind of stuff, it's just something that I just need a little time to process and to accept, and I can go from there. Does that make sense? I don't know. I'm curious for you as a woman. Does that make sense? Can you appreciate that? Can you not appreciate that? I'm curious.
No, I understand that. Well, hold on. I don't appreciate the bottle being out of my reach. Can you hold on?
My long arms.
Can you help me with a refill?
As a man, can you go ahead and do your dignified duty?
Not put things on the fucking top shelf so I can't reach it. As a woman. Dating in this day and age, I understand that men process things very differently from the way that women process it.
Sure.
So to hear you say that you guys come from intent and women come from kind of judgment, I agree. I think
I'm going to say this very shortly.
Yes.
On the simplest plain, and shout out to Louis C.K., one of my favorite comedians of all time, is it's for the man to be like, there's got to be more of me, and for the woman to be like, no, I think there should be less of you.
Wait, what do you mean?
That's my point, is that men, the intent to breed, the intent to, have intercourse for reproduction.
Reproduce,
and it's for the
survive.
woman to be, that's enough of you. That is quite enough of you.
I think the world has had enough of you.
I've seen your father. I've seen your father. It's not getting better.
We don't need to see this through.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. That is my point.
And you know what? Yeah, there is those social aspects where women are like, no, I'm not going to fucking hook up with you because something's wrong with you.
But then there's also other women that will.
Other women will?
There's women that will. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's their judgment to... It's for the man to have intent and for the woman to judge, is your intent worth it to me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As you were saying.
I forgot. I'll be honest, I forgot where we're fucking going with this.
Everything that, I just broke down exactly what I was saying, but how do you feel about that as a woman?
I guess I agree, but like, when you guys have these intentions,
okay,
it would be great if it could come along with this person's actual personality. Not this product that you're trying to sell. Hey, I'm this dude that can give you this, and that. Why can't you just be like, hey, this is me. I'm kind of interested in you. Are you down? No, like why can't you just be you? Tell the people why, Michael.
If I had any say in that race, and don't be wrong, again, I've said a bit about myself. Everyone knows my own flaws now, but it's just, if I had to speak for some women, for some men out there, it's just that it's a hard race. It's a hard race to win, and it's like it's no different than when I see like a BBC like Planet Earth kind of thing where like a fish will kind of just swim in there and just get in that to do what they got to do. And I feel like with men it's no different. They're gonna sell themselves as a certain product that the woman wants versus what they really are. For myself, I would like to at least hope that at least I tell people, women that I'm interested in, that like, hey, for me, it's always been the same thing where it's like, I feel like I'm a pretty genuine person. I don't say I'm definitely the best looking or anything like that. But if there's one thing I feel like that's deep down in my soul is that I'm genuine. And there's something I've told my therapist about, which that he actually agreed with, is that I like to think of myself as extroverted. I love talking to people. I love, getting to know people, even if you're just some cashier at like Vaughn's or something. Like, I'm like, hey, like, what's up with this tattoo? What's up with that? Like, what's going on? And then they can be kind of just like, oh, it's just this. Mm-hmm. And then, like, you give it a minute and they're like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, they think about it and, like, this person is genuinely curious about my own little personal things in life, so on and so forth. And for myself, and I don't want to give any excuses, but especially with COVID going on, especially with a lot of people kind of hunkering down and saying to themselves and introverted or forced to be introverted, that's it. But for me, when COVID hit, I was like, dude, I got to get out of here. I got to meet some people. I got to talk to some people. I got to, engage with people. Yeah. That was just me, And don't get me wrong. I'm lucky. I'm a vet. I was able to get, boosted and all that kind of stuff, which is great. Some of you might not be okay with that, but that's okay. I was willing to do whatever it took to get to engage with people. Mm-hmm. That's what mattered to me. Mm-hmm. And I went from there. But some people aren't going to see it that way, and that's okay. But it's just for me, like, even if you're the most independent person ever, you travel, you see the world, you're just by yourself, you were inspired by someone else to do that thing. You saw someone else doing that, which inspired you to go do that thing. Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of people are more so inherently extroverted than they think. But it's just due to circumstances of the world and the economy, health, COVID, health, all that kind of stuff, that it just kind of turned the other way. But it just, in my case, I'm lucky. I was extroverted. I think for the experience that I have, people can relate to that. In this case, for my infatuation with women, kind of relate to that. And they kind of want someone to be like, I'm not like that. I'm not extroverted. I gravitate towards someone that can kind of help me go through that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I am. Yeah. But I don't take advantage of that, or at least I try not to take advantage of that or anything like that, or at least I like to think I don't. But it's tough times that we're living nowadays. I mean, whether it be financially, whether it be socially, whether it be all these other things, it's hard. You know, it's really hard. I mean, even hearing Steven and, Isabel talking on your podcast, like, I couldn't help but just like, man, I feel for them, just it's a hard place to kind of like swipe right or swipe left to, like kind of a thing. It's tough. It's tough.
It's fucking tough. Like, it's, I mean, I am no stranger to dating apps. And if you've seen me on there, no, you haven't.
No, you haven't.
No, you haven't. But yeah, on the topic of dating apps, I think I had the courage to go on there after my long-term relationship fell through. And then I was like, fuck, I don't know how to do this. I haven't dated anyone in 5 years. I don't know what it's like out there. I don't know how people socialize. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I've been in this little cave of sadness and depression and fucking self-pity and hate. How am I supposed to just like present myself to these people as like a stable person? I was not. And I kind of used it. I was selfish when I got on there at first because I was like, well, I know I feel bad about myself, but I know someone out there is going to think I'm awesome. So I went on there just to kind of get those like little the compliments. I wanted attention. I wanted to feel good. I wanted to feel better because I was feeling so fucking bad. And then the more I got on there, the more I realized that people were just like trying to hook up, as I knew, but I still like... it was fun to me because even though I knew that these dudes just wanted to hook up, I still had fun with them by asking them genuine questions. Like they would still try to be like, oh, but what are you wearing? I'm like, no. So what was your relationship with your mom like? Like shit like that. Like I would really make them fucking work for it, dog. Like you want to hook up? No, tell me your fucking family history, bitch.
Is your dad machismo just like you?
What makes you think this is just gonna happen? Anyway, it turned into a fun little experiment for me to see what was out there, how to handle these people, and then again, sprinkle in how to navigate like what I wanted out of it. Yeah, but right now, I don't want to do it. I don't want to go on these dating apps. It takes a lot of energy. There have been moments where I've found people where they are giving me their like everything. And then I realize
all of their attention.
And then I realize, oh shit, I can't give that back.
I love the fact that you say that because again, I mean, for everything that I'm saying, just my opinion, whatever. But again, for me, it all comes down to attention. Again, for men, just to reiterate, in conclusion, for men, the biggest form, the most self-assuring or whatever you want to call it, form of attention is a woman giving all that she can give to him, So, of course, it makes sense that men are just trying to hook up, men are just trying to do whatever they can to kind of get their attention fixed because that's the biggest, highest form that they can get of that, For women, it's dime a dozen. I don't want to speak for you, but I would imagine it's just like, you literally just said that men are trying to hook up, doing all this stuff. Because it's a dime a dozen, For me, anytime, or at least in my past, like anytime that I've dealt with women, it's just like I always have the thought in my head of like, I am just another person on their laundry list. Now, I don't deflect that onto them. Of just like, especially like I really appreciate, it sounds funny, but I really appreciate people like, what is it? Like Amber Rose and all that stuff, like Slut Walk and all that kind of stuff. Like, dude, like women are free to explore themselves and go see whoever man that they fucking want, That's awesome. But again, with the judgment of woman, who are you going to give that attention to? Who deserves that? And for me,
who deserves that?
Who deserves that? And for me, I'm very much the type that's like, I don't expect you to do that for me. Do I have what you're looking for? If I do, cool. And if not, that's okay too. Now, again, with the whole thing of men, of losing that race, it's a matter of, it does kind of hit my ego, even for me as a guy, like that it's going to have to come from someone else for you or whoever, whatever woman. But it's going to come from that place of just, I feel like I kind of lost the race. Someone's going to have to give that for you. That's not going to be me. But at least for myself, you also deserve happiness. So go ahead and find that dude that's going to be able to fuck the shit out of you. You know what I mean?
What's the race, though?
The race is mankind.
You say you lost the race. What is the race?
The race is mankind. The race
to reproduce? What do you fucking mean?
Apparently, I think so. Again, this is all just my opinion, but I think so. I think there's just something biological in men that's just like, we got to reproduce. We got to do what we got to do. And that we got to do it as frequent as possible.
So do you think rejection towards men is a lot more like detrimental to them?
No, I think we just don't have good enough role models to deal with it. That's the big part.
What would be an ideal role model to deal with it?
I don't know. Definitely not my fucking dad. Definitely not him.
I mean, shit.
But it is just...
we grew up with a generation before us that what machismo was heavily installed.
Right.
So is it up to us to figure out how the next line of generation is gonna?
I don't know. I feel like that goes into like I feel like that goes into a whole different avenue of like other opinions that I have, which relate towards that relate towards the feeling of like I don't know, this is the best explanation I can give, but of going to like a family party, right?
Mm-hmm.
And being like, where are my grandkids? Or where are my nephews?
Mm-hmm.
Where, you know what I mean? Like where's all that? That leads into kind of that thing of like, I'm not ready for any of that. Like there was a certain time period where that was okay, and now it's not.
Mm. Why?
I mean, because of the economy.
It's mostly financial, right?
I would say it's definitely financial, and a lot of education tied into that as well. I would definitely say. Again, not to get like too crazy into it. I really hate putting my opinion out there, but it's just, I would love to hear.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this as I'm right, but I would like to hear this as like, I heard you and this is why you're wrong. I would love to hear that. But it's just one of those things where, again, the fact that our families think that way, especially with Hispanics, I don't know if you can relate, but with our Hispanic families, it's like, where are my tias? Or I'm sorry, where are my tias? Where are my nephews? Where are my grandchildren?
Oh, are you
Where's all
kidding?
of that?
Literally every time that I hang out with my family, they're like, Ruth, where's your boyfriend? I'm like, I don't know, in the future. Like, Ruth, when are you going to have kids? I don't fucking, maybe I won't. Who knows? Who knows?
Our parents, our grandparents did a lot to make sure that we were, stable. Even if that's kind of like a really flaky word. I don't even want to say that I'm stable. But I appreciate the fact that they did their best and all that. That's all great. But I'm not ready to have a kid. So again, and it goes into what I was saying about, las comadres. It's just like of what she said that really grinded my gears. It's like no one's ready for a kid. Okay. She said blatantly, I hold you to it, that people are ready for kids. People are always ready for kids. No, they're not. I think even if I had to put a number on it, I'd probably say maybe like 25% of people in this country, if I had to guesstimate, are probably ready for kids. And that's low. Even for like, technically I feel like that's low, but in my head that's high, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And that's just not, we really need to get away from that. And more so of like, instead of where's my kids, where's my degree? Where's my degree that I helped you get towards?
Where's the
education? Where is the financial growth? For your cousin Jose, the fact that you got a condo, that's crazy to me.
Dog. At this day and age?
Jose, shout out to you. Shout out to you, Jose.
Oh my God.
Shout out.
Yeah. I need a pause. Andrew, this is the first time I'm doing this. I need a bathroom break.
I was gonna low-key do the same thing.
Do you see me swiveling around left and right, just nonstop?
Go do your thing.
You can come
go
to
do. I'm gonna keep talking. No, I'm gonna keep talking,
okay,
and we'll switch out.
I'll be right back.
All right. Yeah. So shout out to Jose. You got a condo. That is absolutely crazy. I cannot believe you're able to do that for yourself. That's awesome. I feel like that's better than most. You know. But yeah, hopefully I haven't pissed anyone off so far in talking all that I'm talking. This is just I would hope everyone would understand as a humble man just coming to a podcast, just saying what he's saying in hopes that someone would connect with that, you know? Something along those lines. And to that, if you do connect with that, I cheers to you. And if you don't agree with me, if you have something to say, I cheers to that as well. Cheers. Clink, clink. Clink on the table. There we go. But anyways, isn't this awesome? All of this started because I asked Ruth about all the questions, I can't enunciate, all the questions that she would ask her guest. So I feel like you got to give me a little bit of credit. You got to give me a little bit of credit, at least for that. That, and also the fact that I was willing to do an extra hour. That's it. You just have to give me my due diligence for doing an extra hour of this. So I'm the best. I'm the best singer of all time. I'm the best musician of all time. And there's nothing that anyone can say or do about it that would make me think differently other than someone confronting me and being confrontational. I don't know what I'm saying. I just appreciate everyone that's listening to my bullshit. I don't know, I guess our bullshit, and resonating to it or arguing with it, and at least having the courage to speak up. Cheers to that. Anyways, but yeah, all the stuff I did say about Dave Grohl, though, about the Crown and the Coke, Pantera, it's pretty nice. Not gonna lie, it's pretty good. I'm really glad I was able to be the first guest in which that Ruth had to use the restroom and break the seal, as they say. I feel really honored to do that. I don't know if anyone's watched the series Smiling Friends on HBO. I think it's an amazing animation of a comedy. It's really, really good. I would suggest anyone watch that, HBO. I'm going to imagine that Ruth is here and she asked me a question, but if I was to choose, and I'm going to ask her the same thing, if I was to choose something to eat for the rest of the year, it would have to be In-N-Out. And specifically, it would have to be In-N-Out. It would have to be a 4x3, which means 4 patties, 3 pieces of cheese on top of that bad boy. I would also get no tomatoes. I would get regular onion and grilled onion. Both, mind you, both. I would get both of the onions. From there, I would also get a animal-style fry. I'm going to get extra grilled onion on that bad boy, as well as extra spread. And I'm going to get a large pink lemonade. That's what I'm doing. If I had to choose for a whole year to eat something, that's going to be my thing. It's going to be that specific order from In-N-Out. And I can hear Ruth approaching the desk. I can't tell you until I come back from using the restroom.
Okay.
So
all right. Tag.
I'm gonna go.
You're it.
I'm it. I'm assuming it's just gonna be down.
Yeah. Okay. So you get out this door. You make a right.
Make a right.
Right next to this fridge, though, there is a key.
Okay.
You'll see it.
I need the key.
You need the key.
I need the key. Okay.
You might need it.
All right. You keep talking.
Okay.
I'll
Hi, friends.
and I'll be ready whenever.
You may. Woo! Hi, friends. Okay. Full disclosure, I don't know what was going to come out of this episode, but I knew it was going to be good. I love Michael, and I don't know if you can see by now that I love Michael. The conversations that we have are the ones that I fucking live for, honestly. Pause for energy drink. But, yeah. I don't know what he talked about while I was away, but this is what I'm going to talk about while he's away. I just, like, he is the type of person that I want to have a conversation with because we are so analytical kind of about ourselves and wanting to improve ourselves. And I appreciate that so much. Like, I want someone to fucking bounce back on my crazy ass thoughts that I have about myself. And yeah, so I don't know. I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I am. There's a little intermission in between the conversations that we're having. Look at where we're at on the bottle. Holy shit. Again, I don't know if this is a problem or something to be proud of. But here we are. Let's see. What else can I think about of Michael before he comes back? Oh. He's coming. So
what I was telling your audience.
Audience
is if you so to make it lighthearted, because right now we're at
we're actually close. Well, you know what? You were fucking right. We needed 2 hours. 2 hours is like
we did
is the sweet spot.
Now I'm like, I'm gonna say everything.
I'm fucking ready.
I'm gonna say everything. No. If you were to choose, all right, to make it more lighthearted, if you were to choose somewhere to eat for the rest of the year, what would it be?
Korean barbecue. Okay, no, anything Korean. I've said it before. It's
you
like
have said it before.
Asian food is something I will eat every day and be happy with.
But it has to be specifically Korean.
If I had to be specific, it'd be Korean.
Okay.
It'd be kimchi jjigae, the spicy soup.
Okay.
With some galbi.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
That is my last meal to eat before I die.
Everything I just told everyone, but for me, it would be In-N-Out. It would be a 4x3 with no tomatoes, grilled onion and regular onion, animal fry with extra grilled onion, and a large pink lemonade.
Oh!
I would have all of that, arguably for a year.
For a year.
For a year.
You'd be fine.
4x3,
so that good. Exact order.
I would be so good.
Yeah, no. Yeah, for me, it'd be soup. Even now in this hot ass weather, I'd fucking eat the fuck out of that.
It's the same thing with our parents or grandparents of like making caldo. You know what I mean?
It might be in my blood.
It might be your blood.
It might be the blood.
Oh, what about a dessert?
Oh, fuck.
Well, do you have a favorite dessert?
Top 2.
Top 2?
Creme brulee.
Oh.
Churros.
Wow. Is there anywhere particular for the churros or?
No.
No, just churros.
I don't
in
think
general.
I have a favorite churro.
I don't know. Disneyland makes the fuck out of a churro. I don't
Maybe.
know.
Oh, you know what? I don't fuck with Disneyland that much.
Why?
I'm not a Disney adult because it's a lot of people. For what? There's a lot of kids. I'll go with my family because they want me to go, but it is not something that I seek out on my own.
So what I'm asking, I think, in my head is that you don't want kids.
That's not true. I want kids, but I personally don't think I'm ready for them.
Same.
I don't.
Same. Absolutely.
I guess that's
absolutely
the wrong.
Same.
No, I feel like that's the wrong way of saying it, though. But I genuinely fear for their safety.
Why?
With me, because I'm I am barely surviving on my own.
Okay.
Like in just pure fucking these are not habitable environments. What I do.
What do you do?
Podcasts? I podcast and I don't clean my room. That's where my priorities are not set straight.
My kids are gonna die with those two things: a podcast and a messy room. My kids ain't gonna fucking make it.
I mean, it's like fuck. I think about all the things that they need. And it's like not to say that I couldn't do it because I'm sure that I could. Like I thrive in fight or flight environments. That's where, but eventually I am gonna crash, and I don't know what that crash is gonna look like.
Right.
So, and I know people. Not that everyone else is normal. I know they're like dealing through their own things, separate things. Whether it's like depression or being overwhelmed or not having enough support or whatever the fuck.
Right.
I think I'd be a good mother. When it comes to like being that support system, but to make it a healthy environment, I don't know if I
feel
can
like you'd
do
be
that.
the one to be like, yo, let me show you how to make some magic out of these curls.
I got you on that. Can't tell you how to do your homework. Couldn't tell you how to fucking like fold your clothes and do your laundry and do all your shit at once. No,
But
we're all gonna struggle at the same time, baby.
I'll tell you how to treat these curls. I'll teach you how to throw these hands. But
I'll show you how to roll a joint when the
I'll show you how to roll a joint when you're 18. And that's about it.
This is why, like, I realized all the important people, not important people, but the people who I've found to fit my puzzle are the ones who are more structured. Because I do need that. And I have no problem following somebody's lead. No problem at all. So, like, if they got a good system down and it works, and I'm like, okay, cool, that's what we got to do. All right, sick. I could do that. But in other senses where, you know what? That's why relationships before that I've had where I was in control never worked out.
That's why Andrew's here.
What do you mean?
Andrew. He's here making the magic happen for you.
Yeah. I need structure. This is why I am like paying. I mean, I am investing in the part that I lack. I accept that. I'm not going to like I no longer make myself feel bad for not having the structure. I accept that that's just not my strongest element.
How can people find Andrew? For people that don't have structure, how can people find Andrew?
Burbank Podcast Studios.
Burbank Podcast Studios. Hit up your boy Andrew.
They're great, man. Honestly, like if it wasn't for them and this being so easy, none of this would exist right now. None of it.
I'm not just saying it. I'm not just saying this. I'm dyslexic. I'm not just saying this to kiss ass, but there is, for me at my small time of going to audio engineering school, there is a huge talent behind this of being structured, of especially like, I mean, me being in a band and being singer and, you know, guitarist, like there is something to be admired in someone that can really hunker down, record your stuff, be structured for you. You know, I think there's a big thing in that for sure. Yeah. So shout out to that. Shout out to that for sure. I'm just getting cheesy because I'm just having such a great time.
Dude, so am I.
I'm having such a great time. I feel like everyone hates me right now.
Why?
Because of the things that I had to say.
You're projecting. There's nothing wrong with what you had to say.
People, I needed this. Okay? I needed this. Don't be mad at me. Please don't be mad at me.
Wait, going back to the very beginning of this conversation, I needed this too because I have not been in a good spot. Okay, that's a bit extreme, but also true. I haven't been in my best, nor am I too low where it's like concerning or anything.
So what does that have to do with me? What do you need to know?
No, I don't need to know anything, but I want to let you know that you make me feel comfortable enough to not have to like, I didn't feel the pressure to have to show up as a host. You know, I didn't feel the need to be like, fuck, I got to be on 10 with my energy in order to like make this person feel comfortable. I just felt like I knew that I could just have a conversation with you honestly and just like the genuinity. Is that even a word?
Genuinity? Yes.
That sounds
absolutely
wrong. The genuinity.
You're making it sound wrong. Make it right. Make it right, Ruth.
Anyway, I knew it would come naturally with you. So there was like nothing that could go wrong with this episode. So a lot of that pressure just kind of like melted away. But nonetheless, I could at the very least be honest with you about how I just haven't been on 10. And I like being on 10. And I'm coming to terms with not being there. Like nobody tells you anything. Nobody tells you about the boring part of healing yourself. And what to do with it.
I feel like you have a story to say with that.
Yeah.
Okay, let me hear it.
Well, it's just like I'm an emotional person, right? And
absolutely.
It's not that I love the drama, but it's fun. And I find myself putting myself in these situations because I'm like, fuck it, I'm good. But then after I'm in these situations, I'm like, fuck, why did I put myself here? This is not what I needed. I don't want to deal with this. And so it's like keeping yourself away from the things that give you that little bit of like adrenaline rush. And it's like you stop smoking for a while and then you're like, fuck, what am I going to do with all this sober time now? You know?
Face your problems.
I
was just talking to someone about this.
Can I not?
You cannot. But if all this time has been just the moment
fight or flight,
your problems start arising and you're going to smoking, then there might be a problem.
Fuck.
There might be a problem. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Fuck is the right word. But at the same time, I did just talk to someone about this literally today. So it's just like, I'm trying to work on that because I do enjoy drinking.
I saw you look at that.
Right. I do enjoy drinking. I think it's a great pastime. I think there's something socially about it that I think is kind of important for someone to experience.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's something about it, not in like anything else, in moderation. If you can do it in moderation, I think it's a great thing. You know, when you take it in excess, you might have a problem. But in terms like this, like I run a lot. I mean, you probably see my Instagram post. If anyone hasn't, I run a lot. I work out a lot. All those things. Like I've been doing all of that all this week to lead up to this. You know what I mean? Like I'm making effort to make this time for myself. And I really hope a lot of people out there, you, the audience, do that of, you know, if I'm going to drink, at least if I'm going to do that, I'm going to run, 3 days out of the week for 5 miles. You know, like whatever the case may be. I hope you do something that is good, that leads to you doing this thing that you want to do that you know is not exactly good for you, because I do the same thing. Anyways, but it's one of those things where I'm trying to do that myself because I feel like alcohol is a very social thing. Smoking, cigarettes, all that kind of stuff. I think that's a very social thing, you know.
You smoke cigarettes?
Every now and then. Again, it's one of those things that some people will never know. It's like the people that do know, you know, and the people that don't know, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know, that's perfectly fine. I don't judge you. And for the people that do know, you know. And it's just something about being fucked up, about being just fucking drunk off your rocker, and someone to be like, you want a cigarette? And just like you're so drunk, you have no idea what to do with yourself other than, you know what? Fuck it. Whatever. I'll do it. And you do it, and you're just like, wow. What an experience. And for me, it's not just a habit experience.
Yeah.
It's just a fucking human experience. Tobacco has just been something that's just been on this planet for so long where I just feel like, if you've been fucked up enough to have enough couple of beers in the right setting, in the right place at the right time, and someone just to be there to be like, you want a Stogue? And just be like, fuck it.
Yeah, there is a place in life where that last puzzle piece just fits.
And I'm just talking about a fucking cigarette, dude.
Perfectly.
There can be so many other things in your life, you know?
It's mostly a cigarette, though, that gives you that.
I guess so. But I feel like there's a lot of experiences in life that you can that are similar when you're just like, fuck it. You know what I mean? When you're just, fuck it.
Yeah.
Even with this podcast. I don't want to speak for you, but I would imagine at some point it's like, fuck it.
That's the way it started. Fuck it.
That is my point.
Fuck it.
Don't get me wrong. In excess, maybe there might be a problem, but in moderation. I think there's a beauty in that. I love people that can handle moderation, you know?
Oh, me too, because I can't attain that. Personally.
In different ways, I'm sure certain things in my life, I'm sure you can moderate with. And there's certain things I'm sure in your life that you can't, I can. You know? But the fact that even if there's something that you can take in moderation, I have high respect for that. Like same thing, funny enough, with your podcast with Las Comadres, with Steven. She's like, oh, I so respect you, Steven. I so respect you, all this stuff. And I love that for both of them.
Yeah.
You know, I love that for both of them. And for me, in a weird way, there's a part of me that also has high respect for someone that has experienced things that
I'm still pushing it towards you until I pour it in your bottle. I'm sorry, continue.
I can have total respect for someone that passes me the bottle of Crown that is like, you know what? Pour up. Technically, could I say no?
You could say no.
Could I go instead just be like, you know what, bye, and go to Planet Fitness and go on a run for 3 miles and go work out and all this stuff? I sure could. But you know what? In this instance, I respect this so much. I respect your passions. And I'm willing to, literally travel. And I don't feel like people take this for granted enough. Travel through space and time, literally, to be here, to experience this with you, to share with an audience, to do all of this. I feel like people don't take that for granted enough. And that's why you're not asking me questions. I've been asking you questions.
I've been asking me.
I don't think I've been asked a single fucking question.
I haven't. Okay, yes, you fucking threw me for a loop and you told me that from the beginning, but I didn't think it'd come on this strong. Fuck me.
Or is it just that you came on that strong when I asked?
I did because I came in. I came in with such high energy. I was excited. I was ready. I knew this was going to be great either way. Right. And so I was so eager to fucking start, you know, because of the conversations that we have, which I told you from the beginning when I would have tried. It would have been fine. When I messaged you about being on the pod, I'd be like, I would fucking love for our conversation to be put out in the public because I don't think enough people have these type of conversations.
And I want you to know that when I messaged you, I know for a fact I said something along the lines of like, I'm an open book and I hope that would help your podcast. I'm not saying that from a point of like, oh, it's going to gain traction or something. If more of just, hopefully you would have realized that it's coming from a place of like, not that it would help your podcast, but just that you're an open book and I'm an open book. And hopefully people can resonate to that.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I don't know. It's one of those things where I didn't like, because you didn't like reply to that, which I'm not like putting you down for, but it's just the fact that like until later on, until recently messaging, and I saw that message, I was like, oh, I feel like that sounded like asshole-ish almost, of saying that. No. But versus, I appreciate that. But it's just one of those things where it's just, I hope that people can, I think that's why people gravitate towards podcasts, because for one, you have a soothing voice.
Do what? Me?
Which I hope I do. I hope I have a soothing podcast voice. You laughed so hard that it made me laugh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to anyone that's falling asleep to this. And then here's me and Ruth cracking the fuck up. But
no, dude, I honestly, I've hated my voice for a really long time. And it wasn't until...
Stop it. I love your voice.
I started doing this that everyone's like, you have such a great voice. I'm like, what do you mean?
You do. You have a great voice.
I feel like I mumble my words, but that's just from me living in the Valley. And also maybe Spanish speaking, where I blend it all together at some point when I speak too fast or too lazy or I don't have enough energy.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You're Guatemalan, right?
Uh-huh. Correct.
So, funny enough, recently, one of the first leases I did for my job, cheers to you being Guatemalan. Along with that, there's someone that I met who couldn't believe, I mean, I don't blame them, but one of the first leases I did, because again, I work in real estate. One of the first ones I did, she was so excited to get her lease that she was like, dude, we got to go out. And I was like, I'm totally down. Yeah, we go out. And she can't believe that I'm anything Hispanic. She can't believe it. And I'm like, just to clarify, you're Guatemalan, right? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, dude, no wonder why that we don't resonate. Because if you were to speak Spanish to me, I wouldn't understand a fucking thing you would say. Because you would speak too fucking fast, too much slang for anyone to fucking understand. And you got to know, goddamn, that's the truth.
Yeah.
You got to know that's the goddamn truth.
Yeah.
Not just the damn truth, the goddamn truth.
You know what's funny, too, is I'm not even that good at Spanish, but because I've heard other people do it, my mimicking is really good. I can just pick up their tones and sounds, and as long as you do it fast, you sound like you know what you're doing.
Huh? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I love you. It's a good time.
It's a good time. It's a good time.
Oh my God. Was anything off limits when you thought about this podcast? That's something you didn't want to talk about?
I mean, in terms of women, I feel like I've already said too much, you know? But I mean, for me, that's kind of the big one. But again, that's my flaw. That is, it's, you know, I would really hope anyone listening or for yourself, like, you know, not taking it narcissistically. Like, I don't think I'm a great, amazing looking guy. For me, the way I feel like with men that actually have game, as they call it, is very much like the 1%. Like there is a 1%, like 1% of the population has wealth. There's a one population of men that actually have game where women are just like, I don't care who you are. I don't care how much trauma you have, anything. I just want to do this to see how it feels. I don't have that at all. But the one thing I feel like I do have is that I'm genuine. Mm-hmm. You know, if I do dig you, all this kind of stuff, then I'm genuine about it. And if you're not about it, I can get past that. So long as you understand that I do need to have in my mind as a man, as a guy, as a male, whatever you want to call it, that I've lost that war. I've lost that battle, that you are willing to be intimate with me, give me all of that you have. I'm willing to accept that. Just give me a little time. Because as much as I'm logical about a lot of things in life, that's the one thing that I do attach emotionally is women. That's just my flaw. You know, whatever you want to call it.
Flaw?
I think it's a flaw because, you know, I'm sure there's probably women out there, and I know for a fact that want to be my friend, but then it's like I couldn't make that happen because I'm like, dude, like it was too much for me to handle at that time, you know, of you being intimate with another man, knowing that I wanted that, but you need it from someone else. That's hard for me to swallow. And I'm sure that's a lot for another man to swallow as well, you know.
Interesting.
That's what she said. Yeah, fuck you, man. Fuck you. Take it. Just take it and move on. Just take it and move on. Leave Ruth alone, goddammit.
Leave me alone.
Leave her alone. Leave her alone. I'm not even saying that for myself. For yourself and your own happiness. I'm not your therapist, but god damn it. Seek clinical therapy. Someone that's licensed.
Fuck.
Be your genuine self with someone else.
Just be your genuine self. This is all this podcast is about, is just you being your genuine self. Don't hide. Don't try to mask it. Don't try to blend in with other people. Don't try to fucking not step over people's toes. You know what's funny is I saw I saw well, there's a lot of things on Instagram that I've saved. Oh, fuck. There's so many different ways that I want to go that my brain can't, like, stay on track because it, like, should I jump here? Should I jump there? Should I jump there? And we don't have that much time left.
Where do you want to go?
Can I tell you my thought process of, from the beginning of when we started talking to each other?
Please.
Okay, great. I'm going to try to fit it in this time.
Please.
And then who knows? Maybe it'll be a part 2 if you guys are into it. Because this is fun. I want to do more of this.
I'll be your co-host, dude. I'll say it right here on record.
So much shit.
I'll be your co-host.
Okay. Fuck. All right. Wait. No.
Pantera.
Let me fucking analyze this Pantera. And as I see, I need some more. Do you want to? Here, you got to finish the rest of that. Nope. That's you. I'm gonna add some water and ice. Do you want cold water? Because I just took all the ice.
I want to hear what you have to say.
Okay. Okay.
Genuinely.
What I have to say, genuinely. And that's why I asked if you have anything off limits.
Oh.
Because it's just like, I don't know. You know, I don't know what you're comfortable with or not.
Let it out.
Okay, so we date. We met on a dating app.
Yes.
Correct. And you were one of the first people that I connected with after a long-term relationship.
Okay.
You were one of the first.
Okay.
Apologize in advance because I was not stable. Not that I'm stable now, but nonetheless, less stable then.
I get that.
Anyway,
I respect that.
And what I'm saying right now has nothing to do with you.
Okay.
Which is what is the point of it all. Is like
even if it did, I wouldn't even blame you.
It's all the things that I like built up in my head as I met you. So okay. Take a swig. Yo, for all the Delulu girls out there, y'all want to stay here for this.
You want to see some fucking heart to heart in person? You want to see some soul to soul connection right here? This is it.
You want to see some real shit? You're gonna stay right here, with my little mushroom cup. Yeah. So no, you were one of the first guys that I was kind of like dating, connecting, but it was, I would say, more connecting with because you were really cool. You were a fucking musician. Honestly, that was such a fantasy of mine since I was a kid.
I'm sorry.
Since I was a kid. You could have been absolute garbage, but the fact that
I'm not saying as a narcissist. I'm not. It's just, I've been there.
I know.
I mean, like, I would be lying if I said that women haven't felt that way because of that. That's all. That's all. I'm sorry.
I don't know what it is about the musician aspect that like we just fucking
Mick Jagger
melt over.
is an ugly motherfucker. But he's dated women I couldn't even fathom.
It be the instruments.
And he's uglier than me.
It be the instruments.
Fuck you, Mick Jagger.
The creativity. The
Something
fucking
like that.
whatever.
Something
all
like
of that. All of that.
Anyways, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I just had to make it known that I don't mean
that I'm
narcissistic
aware
about all of that. I don't. But yes.
So yeah, it was that. It's also that you were so like good with your words.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I was struggling really hard.
Am I not?
No,
Am I not still?
No. I was struggling communicating with anyone about anything.
I gotcha.
And so because you were so good at that, I was like, oh, fuck, this person's pretty sick.
Mm-hmm.
This person's a musician. This person is like passionate about things.
Can feel me on an emotional level.
Yeah. And so I put you on this really high pedestal.
Sure.
Without getting to know you. I started building up this character.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it was like I was getting to know you, I was still creating a sub character that was not you. I wasn't allowing myself to see you. I was already just fucking running wild with this fucking fantasy that I started building in my head. And yeah. And so that's, and it's not just with you. Like I noticed that I do that with everyone.
Excuse me.
Fucking everyone that I've even slightly had a connection with. Is just I immediately start building this fantasy. I don't just like give that space or time of getting to know this person. And that's my problem.
Sure.
And so, and then when we hung out, because I live on that fuck it mentality. I live by it. Just like, fuck it. So when you're like, let's hang out, or if I was probably like, I'm pretty sure it was me, where I was like, fuck it, let's just hang out. And then you followed up with that, oh, it's your birthday soon, we should go do a thing. I'm like, oh my God, he's also along with this fuck it mentality that I am. We're going to go have this adventure. But then once we were on that adventure, I realized, oh shit, I don't feel comfortable. Like, I didn't feel like we were compatible, but I still wanted so badly to have your approval because of all of the other factors.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that out loud. I feel like a big thing, and mind you, this is just, again, from a man that feels like I've been grateful that I've had the experiences that I had, you know, whether it be with you or other people. Like, I really do appreciate it. And I never take it, or at least I would hope I would never take it for granted. If things don't work out, they don't work out. And make it be known, you know, make it be known if it doesn't work for you. And if it doesn't, cool, you know, no worries. But it's just one of those things where, again, I do feel that women have the tendency to to feel their emotions. Like they tend to feel what they're feeling, versus for myself, I do tend to think of things logically, like whether it be distance, from that person, like literally, like in terms of miles, like in terms of like, dude, like I live over here, you live over here. That's a problem. You know what I mean? Like, no matter how I can feel for that person, like I do take that into account. You know, maybe I don't want to speak for all women out there, but I would imagine maybe that's something that's also an effect of just like I don't want to speak for you at all. But if that's something that you haven't thought about, that is definitely something that I probably did. You know what I mean? Like maybe in your head, you're just like, it's going somewhere else versus for myself. I'm like, dude, like, how's this going to work with like this distance?
Yeah.
You know, and then that leads into other things, you know what I mean? Where I do have that in the back of my head versus maybe someone like yourself or someone else doesn't. No, again, and that's okay. You know what I mean? But what's really important, and for guys, I have this saying that I say that if women had dicks, dude, us guys would be out of fucking business. Honestly, I kind of feel that way.
The way we would have fucking game, y'all would have no chance.
That's my point. That is, if chicks had fucking dicks, we would be fucking screwed, dude. We would be like, even as much like experience or whatever that I'm, not that I say that I have, that I'm grateful to have, which is different. I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that for sure. Even Steve said that men are fucking not good. You know, they're not good. They're not great. Even me, I don't, you know, even for himself to say that as a father who feels that he has earned his right to say that he is a dad, you know, proud and all that kind of stuff. I'm not even at a point where I feel like I can have a child, you know, I mean, comfortable with that. Even with that being said, even more so with women, as much as I have my infatuations, as much as I cling to the opposite sex, like I'm not ready to, as you say, sack up. I'm not ready to do that.
I like that term, sack up. And honestly, for myself.
And I applaud you. I applaud you, Steve, for doing that. I applaud you for being able to sack up, because even my own stepfather was not willing to do that, even to this day. And I applaud you for that so much.
Yeah.
But, and it makes me almost sad to tell you, if you're watching this, I'm not ready for that. But with that, I at least am aware of the amount of social and economic turmoil that women have to go through for men. You know, I'm aware of that. I mean, the fact that a woman to this day can still go on a date with a man and just meet up with him in this random space at this random time that just happens to be convenient for both of them, that is so fucking beautiful to me.
Yeah.
But it is up to the woman to judge how beautiful that's going to be. Does that mean being intimate with them, or does that mean just acknowledging that they tried and that you're going to look for something else?
I disagree. It's not entirely on the woman. It's also on the guy. It's not just getting to that point. It's not just asking them out. It's also showing up at that date and being comfortable themselves, you know?
I agree.
I hear a butt coming on.
I agree.
But...
I agree. I just think, not that what I think matters or my opinion matters.
Okay.
But I do think statistically it's more for a woman to decide than a man.
If it's going to work out or not.
If it's going to work out or not. Because I feel like for a man, even if it's just for a night, they can be like, I can make this work. Because I've been honestly, like I've been in a situation where I'm like, for a night, I can make this work. For a while, no. But for a night, I can make this work. For women, I feel like even if it's happening just for the night, they have the next couple of weeks in mind. You know, I don't want to speak for all women out there. I don't want to do that. But I'm only speaking from experience or being someone that's thought selfishly to themselves. I can't help but feel like a man would feel that way, in which that, you know, a man is seeing it for a night, a woman is seeing it longer than that. Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if it's for fucking 2 weeks, it's always going to be more than a man.
Do you feel like men see it short term all the time?
Not all the time, for sure. For sure, not all the time. But statistically, I would put hard money that most of the time it is.
Biologically?
No, biologically.
Short term, that's why it's just fucking not even considering.
No, I think it has to do with, again, with education. I mean, for me, a lot of that comes from poor education system. Again, the fact that our family members ask us where are our grandchildren, where are our nephews, and all that kind of stuff. I feel like that kind of stems from that, of that pressure to have children, that pressure to make things the way that they were in the fucking 80s. To make it
work with somebody.
When this is not the time to make shit fucking work. That's my point. That is my biggest point. If there's any fucking thesis to what I'm saying out of this whole fucking podcast is, again, no offense to las comadres, but it's just hearing her say that everyone's ready for a kid. No,
I don't.
I wholeheartedly disagree with that. I think way more people are not ready for kids than they are.
Mm-hmm.
I wholeheartedly think that, and I feel like the sooner that we come to terms with that, the sooner that we as a society can make that a normal thing in which, like, that's okay that you don't have kids, I think the better off that we'll be.
Also, I think it'd be probably healing for people who do have kids to be like, yeah, I wasn't ready to have kids at that moment.
I'm not going to put her business. I have a coworker that's exactly, I have the same conversation with her.
How old's her kid?
I believe, from what I remember, is that the kid is probably give or take around like 11 now. Give or take.
Same.
A little older,
Yeah.
But it's just, it's just the fact that, like, she was agreeing, like, like, my family's the same way, in which that they agree that, where's my godchildren, where's my granddaughter, where's my grandson, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that we need to kind of get rid of that, And for me, don't get me wrong, if you feel, differently, please feel free to debate with me. I would love that. But to get a different point of view, but I do kind of wholeheartedly feel like we need to get to a point in normal society where we need to be okay with the fact that our children don't have children. I do think we need to get to that point. Because at that point, some people aren't ready for children and they have to force themselves to get ready, and that's okay. But in the cost of that does come at the cost of ignorance, and that's a hard... it's one of those, I mean, speaking from Louis C.K., my favorite comedian, it's either, you're raising Gandhi or at that point you're raising fucking Hitler. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be either or, like, depending on how you're raised and how you see things, it's going to be either or.
Well, because it's also like you're letting something loose out into the elements, which are this current world and the way that we're living. It's like you're just letting this human being out into the social media world that's not exactly the greatest or the nicest or anything, and you just kind of like have to let that be. Like, I have tried to come to terms recently, very recently, only because I know that a lot of women are experiencing miscarriages before they have a solid pregnancy.
In my time in the army, same.
It's like
crazy.
At this point, I just know that if I ever have a positive pregnancy test, I know that it's probably not going to survive the first one, or maybe the second one, or maybe the third. Who knows? Maybe I'm not even fertile.
If you don't mind me asking,
What's up?
You saying that you're not expecting even that first time to survive, or you're just saying that, like, in general, like, you don't expect it to go anywhere?
I guess in general, I don't expect my first pregnancy to survive.
Because of your own decisions, or just because, like, biologically of who you are? If you don't mind me asking.
Kind of both, for sure.
Okay.
But also because I know that not all of these other women who have experienced miscarriages have the same lifestyle as I do. If anything, they're healthier than I am. But yeah, for some reason, they still lose their baby like fucking months in. And that's really fucked up. And I don't know what it is, if it's in our food or microplastics or whatever the fuck, things that's making us infertile. But like my sister also, before Jamie, she fucking had a miscarriage, and that was fucked. That was fucked. But in my mind, I try to keep it to myself. But in my mind, I was like, a lot of women are having miscarriages, so this pregnancy, like, just be very careful with it, and I felt like an asshole even just telling her that, but it was true. And then it happened and it was fucked, but it's just like it kind of like solidified my idea of like, oh fuck, pregnancy is becoming rare for whatever reason. I don't know, I'm not going to be a conspiracy theorist.
I feel like the opposite, where I feel like it's in abundance.
No. Yeah. No, if anything, all the women who have babies now.
That's the fact that you gasp. I feel like other people are gasping. That's just my opinion. I mean, that's all.
If you would,
which doesn't matter.
If you would ask a lot of people who have babies now, ask them how many miscarriages they've had before the baby that they have now.
That's true. It's just in my experience in the Army, it would usually come from a place of a lot of people, including myself, smoked like cigarettes and stuff like that.
Oh, you think it's because of you?
Oh no, not because of me, but because I've never had a child, so I don't have any say in that race. But it's just those people that I've met, or those women that I met in the Army that were having children, they were having miscarriages because they smoked. Because they smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I would always hear is like, oh, my doctor told me to keep smoking, but like limit it. Like, but to keep it limited. I don't want to say whether they're right or wrong, but it's just what are the chances that these people that told me that had miscarriages along the way? Both of these people that I'm referencing, like, I'm not going to put their business out there or their names or anything like that, but it's just these people that I dealt with, what are the chances that fucking they say or they tell people when they're obviously pregnant that, they need to limit themselves to their smoking or whatever, to just turn out that they have a miscarriage and it turns into something devastating. I'm not trying to sound. It's funny because with Steven, I'm not trying to sound like boomer energy of like, I totally understand when people want to swipe left or right, because again, or I don't want to speak on behalf of myself or my therapist, but the fact that a lot of people don't have the experience of matching with other women or the opposite sex or whatever you're into, without technology. But at the same time, with COVID, with all these things that happened, they tend to make people more more introverted. And I'm not the last of a dying breed, but I've yet to have met a lot of people that are genuinely as curious about other people as I am. And, and it's just one of those things where, again, the fact that I'm here and trying to make time and, out of a busy schedule and, and not to put down people. Dude, like even Jose has a whole condo he has to worry about, and he made it. You know what I mean? He made it. To come do this podcast. That's awesome. That's amazing. Let's say I also have my other things. I have my own other, trials and tribulations, to conquer. But, again, for the woman, it's up for you to judge my intent and my genuinity and all this kind of stuff. And I'm here to tell you to your face that I appreciate all that you're doing.
Aww. I
appreciate the fact that you're doing something, I would even argue, especially what we talked about before, out of your league, out of, I didn't think of you as a person to do this kind of a thing.
I fucking didn't either.
I'm sure you did.
I really didn't either. Literally, this was in the back of my mind behind creating a movie. And who knows, maybe in like 5 years down the line, I will actually create this movie.
I will be a fucking actor for your movie.
That one's in the works. Not actually, but it's in my head and I know what I want it to be. And if I could do this, I'm going to make that fucking movie. So anyway, from 5 years now, if shit isn't in production... Bitch. Okay, anyway, I'm sorry I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
We were talking about a whole lot of shit.
No, but you making the time to come here to just to be here and talk about shit. I think we are both on the same wavelength without even talking about it, of just like being open about our human
and I
experience.
love that.
Same.
I love that.
We need that. We need that little freedom of just like talking out whatever we're fucking feeling
Yeah.
without judgment.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Don't you know, I want, for everyone out there, I want to be judged.
I want to be judged? What do you mean?
I want to be judged. Anything that I've said today, please, if someone, I'm speaking to the camera here, if someone disagrees with something that I said, I want to know why you disagree. I want to know, and I genuinely mean that. I might not exactly agree with what you have to say, whatever have you, but if anyone watches this 2-hour special, I want to know.
2 hours.
I want to know why you disagree. I would love. I genuinely mean that. I would want to know. I would want to know why you disagree, especially if it's coming from the opposite sex. I would love to know that.
Yeah, man, because it's an open discussion. There's so many of us out there. It's like, why not try to figure it out together?
Speaking for myself, I feel like I spoke for a lot of men out there, you know, and I don't want to, but it's just with the reputation that men have been giving me, you know, I kind of feel like I have to at this point. But
no, exactly. There's just too many speculations going around. Like, we need some actual perspectives.
I feel like it comes down to a lot of simple things that just kind of misconstrued into bigger things that don't need to be that big, you know? For me, it's just a matter of, for men and women, I feel like we can be friends. But I do think it has to come from a point of you need to be understanding that that person is going to be intimate with someone else. Mm-hmm. If you can come to terms with that, if you can understand that and know that you're not the guy for that, then cool. You know, same thing as Steven said, is like, it depends on your intentions. And for me, it's that's what it's all about. It's all about your intentions and where you're at, you know?
Yeah.
And for me, that's just where I'm at. It's just about intentions. It's about you know, just trying to be honest with yourself. That's hard to do, but trying your best to be honest with yourself, and then being honest with the other person that you might be in love with, you know, or be compassionate with, anything, or loyal to.
Anything.
I wouldn't say anything, but that's just me. You know,
okay,
you really feel that way. For me, I don't know if you've or anyone out there have listened to The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, one of the greatest albums of all time. And if you don't think so, that's one of the few instances where I'll say, fuck you. You should know. Okay. You should be very educated on that album.
In the miseducation.
In the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. But in the song, That Thing, I'm sure you're aware. That thing, that thing, that thing. Exactly. At the end of the song, there's a clip that happens. And I'm just saying this because we're at the last 3.5 minutes. But there's a part where, because I'm sure you've seen the album, or at least I think you've seen the album cover. Other of you out there, it's a picture of herself on a classroom like desk, essentially. Like, that's what it is, just like penciled on. And at the end of the song of That Thing, the teacher, like, there's like a beautiful jazz band that's playing beautiful music in the background, and the teacher asks, like, what do you guys think that love is? And they're all saying their, you know, bits and pieces, and there's one girl that's just so confident, like, little girl, like, younger than me, younger than I'll ever be for thinking that way. You know, it's accepting that person for who he or she is. And I remember, like, as a kid, just like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. Like, honestly, Steven, I get the nominee for an Oscar for that performance. But it's just like, there's just something so special about that, of hearing that from a young kid that was younger than me, that has less experience than me. There was just something so beautiful about that I can never let go of accepting someone for who he or she is. And for me, that's what love is. As of now, you know, that can change later. But to me, that's what love is. And if you love someone, do that, you know, hold it close to your heart. Even if you don't end with that person up forever, you know, whatever the case may be. But as long as you have that mindset that, you know, even love can be eternal that way. Even if you don't end up with that person forever, you can still forever accept that person for who he or she is.
You can still love somebody.
You can still do that.
Yeah.
I absolutely wholeheartedly agree about that. And the faster that you figure that out, the happier you'll be with you, with yourself and that person.
And with others. Just accepting. Just accepting. Accepting
is hard. Accepting is same thing. Same thing with Buddhism. Same thing I was telling you earlier with all those other concepts. It's hard.
Yeah, it is
but
hard.
You can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in yourself, I believe in you for you. Yeah. I truly do.
Yeah. I'm so down for it. Are you down to come on next week? Oof.
Are you fucking kidding me? Of course I'm down. Of course I'm down.
I'm like,
are you fucking kidding me?
Even though this was 2 hours, we still need a part 2. Holy shit. All right. Anyway, cheers to part 1.
Cheers to part 1.
I empty my cup and I can't do that.
It's okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I hope you guys love Michael because I love Michael. And I also, any last words?
Nothing at all. Again, I already said Ruth asked very limited questions compared to everyone else, but I'm just a human being on this earth. I'm the son of a mother and father, and that's it. And arguably trying to figure this shit out.
And stay tuned for part 2 because this is not the last of it. This is only the beginning, baby. Ooh.
Goodbye, Ruth.
Bye. Oh, wait, that's the wrong cup. Bye. Bye. Love you. Bye.